What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the TinkerTribe podcast. I'm your host, Greg Dowd. Welcome to the show tonight. Tonight, I'm gonna go on a rant a little bit about what I've been working on and some projects. Trying to hand out some white pills on what's going on these days, and it's been a little while since I've been on here live, so I just want to give a shout out to some of the past guests and let y'all know that we got some more in the queue for some interviews and everything. So big thanks to Nikki Boatwright that came on a week ago to share her Safe Haven Refuge Ministries that she started. She's got a ministry going on. You guys can go find her at shrministries.org. She is working on helping to uplift people, and I'm a big supporter of that. Uh, another person that I brought on recently was John Tejan and his buddy Tyler. They do TradFi to DeFi podcast. Everybody go check them out. You can find them on YouTube, TradFi to DeFi. And they got a really good podcast there talking about crypto and, how we can escape the current monetary system. If you are unaware of what to do in the crypto space, these guys can help you get started, help you figure out what all is going on. It's one of the methods that I believe that if tomorrow we all as a people we decided that we've had enough of the system that's going on right now, that if we pulled all our wealth out of the current paradigm and into things like crypto, gold, silver, ammo, basically anything that you could use, garden tools, seeds, stuff that you could use to exit the system as best you can. Basically, we would collapse things like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. It would collapse the current system as we see it right now, which is very satanic, I would say. These guys are buying up all the real estate in the country and doing a lot of stuff that's nefarious that we don't like, and I think a lot of folks wouldn't like it, and so. These are some solutions that I would say on this podcast. I'm a little get a little controversial on some things, but really I don't think they're very controversial for freedom-loving, warm-blooded human beings across the world. So we got to find solutions, and how do we find solutions? We talk about solutions. I try to bring you guys some solutions, stuff that I'm seeing and stuff that we're doing. Another shout out I would like to make is my friends Hideaway Homestead, HYDE Homestead Away, HYDE Away Homestead. You can go look him up on YouTube. He's got a YouTube channel he's just started. One of the folks that's connected in our Freedom Cell group. His name's Logan. So go check him out at Hideaway Homestead. And then our buddy Sean Mills, he is doing Hack My Homestead on YouTube. Go check out his channel on there as well. He's does a lot of great work with solar. You can call him up and get a consultation on if you're deciding to set up a solar power system. And this is one of the things that might be a barrier for a lot of people. Just get started with this off the bat is that if you want to get into some kind of alternative power system for yourself, that the barriers and the costs might be a little daunting. But if you can find folks in your area that can help you out, maybe give you a consultation, maybe get you started in the right direction. Most of these systems aren't too difficult to figure out. I mean, um, they're it's a lot of DC power. If you're a little afraid of electrical stuff, then ask if you can get some folks to get out there and help you, which is some of the things that we've been doing within our group as well, is getting out and helping folks that are wanting to set up solar power projects. So reach out and ask, go to these events, find some people that might be able to help you outside of the system. And I think that is the key. That is the key, is to go to find people and find a guy, find a gal, find have your person in your network, in your underground network that's outside of the current system, that you can work with, and start working with those people, because listen, folks, this is the times that try men's souls, I believe, and it's gonna try all of us. And if we don't take action, if we just sit back and are passive in the way things are going and moving forward with the world, then I'm sorry, you get what you deserve, and we all get what we deserve, I think. So anyway, saying that, we're all not perfect. What can we do? Times are getting a little bit, more challenging with all of the prices with all the inflation. There's a lot of black pills to go around, but what can you do personally to change that? And I think there's a lot of things you can do. And the first thing that I would say is, if you are seeing a lot of this stuff, you're waking up to a lot of the things that are going on in the world, that adopt a can-do mentality would be a number one thing, instead of kind of putting yourself into a victim state. Like, you look at a lot of information and you think that things might seem hopeless or something like that. Not to follow down that path, and to to align yourself with positive people that are adopting a can-do mentality and want to get things done. So there's lots of folks out there. If you seek, you shall find. I believe that uh, I think probably one of the I've talked to other guests in the past, like talking about how their connection to the spiritual is very important, and spiritual aspects of things is very important in their lives, and kind of waking up to the state of our world. And maybe it might be trying to separate you from having a more spiritual, or God's, trying to focus on God, whatever you want to call that. But a higher power, the creator of this reality, of your connection with that. And that in order to, find a path forward, that you really need to focus on creating a goal for yourself, creating a purpose for yourself. Because I think if you kind of get drowned in this sea of information that we go through, especially online, and looking at how the way the world is going with the news cycle, and how all that is rolling out, that it can be discouraging. And so finding some kind of higher purpose in your life, I believe will help significantly to bring you down a better path and give you some peace. And so that's kind of what I wanted. That's the whole goal of doing what I'm doing here, is to share some of those things with you guys. It's been a really rough week, past couple weeks. It's just my 9 to 5 job has been pretty intense, and it has been wearing me out. I've been doing some extracurriculars as well, farm sitting for some folks in our group, and then I have also started a project with a buddy that I met at the makerspace to start to transform his lawn. He has an urban, he has a place in the city, a house in the city, to transform his lawn into some garden space, some permaculture garden space, to put some perennials in and have some annuals growing in there as well. So some stuff that he could use for like long-term food and things, food security on his property. And I really think, out of all the things that you could invest in right now, I think probably garden tools and gardening knowledge and skills is quite important. And you know in those efforts that we're talking about with gardening, I have been working on an urban aquaponics system for a while now. It has been set up at the Monkey's Wrench Makerspace in Huntsville, Alabama, um, for a while now, and we've been testing the prototype system of my buddy's design, Robbie Olson, and he has put together a kind of a course, I would say, on not only like the construction of the system, but the science and the um, all of the concepts behind aquaponics. And right now, I believe he's working on kind of revamping his website to do some of that stuff, but also at the makerspace, I've been in talks with the founder of the makerspace, Chris Walls, and we've been talking about how we can start producing some kits out of there, and then talking to Robbie on how we can compensate him for these built kits for these aquaponic systems. So, after I've been working with this system for a little while now, and then talking to Robbie on a lot of stuff, that there are some positives, and then there's some negatives with doing aquaponics. And so it's not like a kind of a completely set it and forget it type system. There requires some maintenance and some things that you have to do to keep up the system. And I'm going to talk about a few of those. I want to share a few of those things tonight about some lessons learned in the aquaponics system. Another thing that I wanted to share tonight, and at least get you guys to think about, is having some kind of alternative communications. And this was brought up at one of our group meetings locally, is that we've got to have some kind of alternative comms system instead of just the cell networks and the landlines, telephone systems We see after those, especially like the Maui fire type situation, what happened in Hawaii. Emergency comms is could have been very helpful in that situation if there were a lot more people connected in a way that people would have been able to spread some awareness about what was going on. Maybe places where people could find shelter, um, because the all of the government systems failed, and it looks like that they were actually inhibiting people from taking the proper actions. Even though they had spent all this and invested all this money into building these emergency systems, they all failed. The people or were stopped in some way. So that right there, let's just take that as an example that you are getting no help from the people that you may believe are going to come and rescue you. You're there to rescue yourselves, folks. You're on your own. And the better that a lot of us realize that the better that we can all be on creating an alternative system that is going to replace the one that is currently in your face, collapsing, and kind of the folks that are running the system, I believe, are kind of laughing at us all because they've let us know what their plans have been for quite a while. And the majority of our population, of the human population, has done nothing to thwart their efforts. And so that's why I say we get what we deserve. I think that a lot of the way that things are going right now, and this show is about white pills, but at a certain point that we gotta wake up to understanding that you're in it on your own, and ain't nobody coming to save you. I'm not talking about any politician. I'm not talking about anybody that you're looking to as a hero. Your celebrities. You might think these celebrities or somebody's out there that's got your back. Like, ain't nobody got your back but yourself. You got to figure it out. You got to find the community yourself. You got to find the like-minded people yourself. You got to start the networks. You got to get a network of people. You got to have people. You got to have a community. There ain't no lone wolf in this, all right? There ain't no lone wolf in getting through, the coming years. We got to team up with people. And it might be a tough situation for a lot of folks in our society right now. And it's going to be a daunting task, but do you want to? Are you the person that's going to roll over and quit? That's why I titled tonight's episode "Die First, Then Quit." It came on a shirt that I bought from this guy Adam Calhoun. But yeah, that's what it is. Like, are you going to rise to the occasion, or are you going to fall over and die in the face of a lot of the things that are happening? And I, for one, I'm very hopeful about the future. I think there's a lot of potential that humanity can achieve, but it comes with first realizing that you have to take matters into your own hands. You have to take the situation into your own hands. And how do you do that? It is a good question, because it takes effort, it takes action, and one step at a time, I think, is probably the best way for people not to get into a frantic state of being and be freaking out on what I got to do, what I got to get all this stuff kind of stockpiled. I think it takes small steps to do a little bit every day. You know, we're all probably working a lot of folks are probably working one or two jobs to make it. Now you're doing side hustles. You're doing your main thing. You got something maybe going on the side. Maybe you're working two jobs. You know, but that's I think what it's going to take is to just you know, at the end of the day, you're going to have to, you know, try to muster up whatever energy, excess energy you have, and see if you can figure out how to put yourself in a better situation. And really, I think that comes down to, um, if you can't do the things on your own, or you are restricted or whatever. You know, so a lot of these things are excuses. Even if you're like in maybe an HOA or something like that, it's like, why not try it and then see what they see what they do to you in response. And then you know, where's the sense of rebellion? You know, in this country, in the United States, where's the sense of rebellion of the people? It's like we've all become whipped dogs that obey the master. And you know, I can't try that because somebody's going to give me a hard time about it. Well, you know, that's a mentality that I think that really needs to get escaped from, is that, you know, that somebody's going to come by and give me a hard time. Well, whatever. You know, you've been chewed out before. It ain't nothing but a chewing out, probably most of the time. And you know, these things to provide a little bit more pushback than what you think. And you know, creativity is a great solution too. Is like figuring out how you can work things into the landscape and make them pretty, and make them so that they're not gonna raise any eyebrows, I guess, in your HOAs or whatever. But you know, for the folks that are just living like kind of an urban, in like urban areas, maybe you only have like a tenth of an acre or something like that. You know, supposedly there are city ordinances against certain things, but you know, from my experience when I was growing a lot of food and doing things inside the city limits, with like raising chickens and stuff like that, nobody ever gave me a hard time about it. In fact, there's folks doing it all over the place, and doing it just fine with no resistance. Um, so yeah, I think don't let the media, don't let these folks scare you on what might be the way that things run. But I think in actuality, like if you're just being a good person, you're helping out other folks in your community, and you're doing your thing without harming other people, that the people let you do um, quite a bit that might not be within the rule set. And you know, I get really frustrated with folks that are all about following the rules. Will follow the rules all the way till you get on the train. You know, you guys know what I'm saying. You know, take the cookie to get on the train. They got free cookies over there. They got free donuts. Everything's free when you get on the train, and that ain't the way I want to go. Ah, but thanks for being here, folks. Let's see. Um, this is kind of, you know, I'm putting this out there, just doing the live stream tonight. It's been a couple weeks since I put one out, so I wanted to jump on here, maybe give you guys a little bit of an update of what's been going on in my life and everything, and just get this one out there, get some thoughts off of my head, give some updates on what's been going on in my life, in my world, that I could share with you guys. So So yeah, that's let's see. That's some of the thoughts I've been thinking recently here. Uh, like I said, I have been working on the aquaponics system and been learning some things in that regard. Um, Here is a example of what I've been working. Well, something I had to deal with recently was that I planted a ton of tomatoes in the media bed of the aquaponics system, and what I learned was, probably for this grow area, this amount of tomatoes is pretty overwhelming for this grow area of this system. I pulled out this giant root mass out of the bell siphon area of the aquaponics system a couple weeks ago, and it kept losing water, and I was like trying to figure out what was going on. And I went and investigated a little bit and figured out that there was this huge root mass that was stuck in the bell siphon of the system, and it was just cutting off the flow of the water coming from the grow bed and into down into the sump tank. So that's what I did is I ended up pulling all that root mass out of there and got it to flow water again from the aquarium down into this grow bed and all that. So so there's several tomato plants, and they're putting off several Roma tomatoes. I planted all these tomatoes probably in either late June or early July, and so they were taking off, and now we're in September. Tonight is the 26th of September of 2023, and they're all fruiting now. So hopefully I have enough time here so that I can get a decent tomato harvest off of this. It's putting off several tomatoes. It's fruiting several tomatoes right now of these Roma tomatoes. I got one ripe one, and then there's a few more that are ripening right now, and then there's several that are unripe that are on there that are coming off of the system. So yeah, the density was pretty heavy on all the tomatoes, and I have a guy that came by the makerspace that also does aquaponics, and he was telling me that probably instead of focusing on doing things like tomatoes in this type of system, that herbs like the culinary herbs would be a good idea to do within the grow bed size that is in this system. So that's something that I'm going to look at. Here is another project that came to fruition recently, which was the mushroom inoculation of these sweet gum logs. So I went to a workshop that a couple in our group put on about mushrooms, and we inoculated several of these sweet gum logs with shiitake and oyster mushrooms. And so I believe these are the oyster mushrooms, and we just had a flush of these. I think it was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. Was it September 10th is when I posted this. So a couple weeks ago, we had this flush of mushrooms. We collected several of those mushrooms. These are the shiitake mushrooms, I believe. So these were the oyster mushrooms, and these were the shiitake mushrooms. So we collected several of those, and then these were cooked up in some breakfast stuff with some omelets and a breakfast casserole. If we were going to preserve these, then talk to the folks that put on the workshop and said that they told me that dehydration would probably be the best route for going for preserving these. I'm not sure if freezing, you know, maybe with a freeze dryer that would work pretty good, but maybe freezing them would be another option. That's something that I'd have to experiment with to talk better on. But uh, but that's how this came out. So this is the first flush of these mushrooms, and we collected several of them from these 2 logs. And I'd like to share with you guys my buddy Logan's his channel. Let's see, Hideaway Homestead. Hideaway Homestead, because he did a pretty good video on this. This is his channel right here, Hideaway Homestead, and he's been doing daily videos on here, and really great content on here. So let's check this out right here. He's got a video about he was doing the same thing with these logs and looking to experiment on using other logs kind of stacked like a log cabin in a way so that you can propagate these mushrooms. And so yeah, if you guys check that out, Hideaway Homestead, he's doing some really great content. Go subscribe to his channel. He's doing some really good stuff. And so this is something cool you could do. You inoculate one of your logs, and he's experimenting with this. So he's gonna give some updates on how this goes. And I'd like to try this out myself, because if you could get one of your logs, one of the logs inoculated through buying like a kit or something like that, you could even do like our folks did, was put on a local workshop and have a bunch of folks show up, and you like get everything prepared for the workshop. You cut some logs of a decent diameter. These were about like maybe 3 to 4 inch diameter, something like that. I think that's probably about right. But like I think most hardwoods you can use for this, and you want to stay away from things like cedar or spruce or pine, because they all have the stuff in their sap, which is kind of like antifungal kind of thing that doesn't do very well. You can't really get these mushroom logs going, or you can't get these mushrooms going in those type of trees. But like a lot of your hardwood trees, like sweet gum is what we used. I think you could probably do it in like maple and oak and ash and a lot of different types of hardwood trees, that maybe you have some that you want to thin out in your area and you want to try this. I think we got our mushrooms from a supplier, and I think they're in North Carolina. I think it's like Mountain Mushroom Mountain. So if you guys want to go check that out, it's Mushroom Mountain. What they have is some different kits and everything. So what we did was we got these plug spawn, and you can get these different types of plug spawn for your logs. And they're like wooden dowels that they've inoculated with these different types of culinary mushrooms. So the types we use were these oysters and these shiitake mushrooms, but they also have the stuff that you would need to create the logs, and they've got like a little bit here. I think they have like the beeswax. You can order this beeswax. We use like a soy wax for the closing the plugs. Basically, you can use anything that will try to create a barrier so that competing fungi won't come in and try to inoculate the log. So once you put these plugs in, then you would set them out in like a shaded area that stays wet, and it takes about 6 months for you to get the first fruiting bodies of the mushroom. So you'll see like this white ring around the end of the around the end of the log, and then you'll get the bloom of the mushrooms after that. And so there's probably a way to propagate these mushrooms through adding your already inoculated one along with some other logs that you can put in a similar area, and hopefully get them to their spores to replicate out and be able to inoculate the other logs around it. So yeah, Mushroom Mountain. If you want to get into this and you want to go into a kit and get a kit yourself, looks like they have several different types of mushrooms: lion's mane, reishi, black poplar, cauliflower mushroom, turkey tail. A lot of different culinary types of mushrooms. So what's really interesting about these two varieties here, I know uh, from taking the workshop, is that they're really high in protein content, and you can kind of like cook them in like coconut oil and things like that. You can add some like spices and things, and like they're so high of a protein content that you can almost create like an imitation meat with them. So it's a pretty interesting thing to do, and they really taste delicious. I had some, like I said, in this kind of a breakfast casserole. So yeah, that's some of the stuff that I've been up to recently. I wanted to share a couple other folks with you guys tonight, and highlight a couple of other of my homies that are doing some cool stuff. And John and Tyler over at TradFi to DeFi, they have uh, lots of great episodes on what's going on in the crypto space, and like if you guys are you know a little confused on what's going on in that arena, go subscribe to my buddies over there at TradFi and DeFi. Tyler and John putting out content on, let's escape these traditional markets. Let's get into some, alternative markets, and they're there to help you figure out what's going on in that crypto space. If you want to get involved in that, there are a lot of unfortunately, there are a lot of scams and things that go on in the crypto realm that are good to be aware of and good to avoid. And so, these guys are putting out information to assist you on that journey in figuring out some of that stuff. John is, kind of our token boomer in the group, but he's, a lot different than a lot of the other folks of his age, and is really up on learning about cryptocurrencies and trying to help other people figure out that space as well. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, if everyone decided, if even a portion of the country and the world decided to exit their money out of all of the traditional markets of the world and start, using alternative things, uh, that uh, alternatives to the fiat dollar that is constantly losing its value, that they're printing into oblivion, keep sending overseas to different countries and to wars and all this crazy stuff that we don't really have a whole lot of say in. What you can do is you can begin to exit those financial markets, those traditional financial markets. You can start getting diversified into other assets, whether it be ammo, supplies for, seeds. I would say buy a bunch of seeds, gardening tools, you know, sell a lot of the unnecessary clutter that you have in your house. Get, some extra funds, throw a little bit of it into some cryptocurrency. Just find different ways and be creative of, even earning cryptocurrency. Maybe you don't want to go out and purchase some things in cryptocurrency, but if you can figure out a way to make a trade with somebody in cryptocurrency, that would be very advantageous for you, that you can start earning some in some way. Maybe you got some stuff you can put up on marketplace and say that you accept crypto for it, like on Facebook Marketplace or something like that. I think all this stuff is pretty, important to try, especially before there's some kind of more restrictions on the internet, and possible restrictions with the internet and things like that. So go check those guys out. TradFi to DeFi. Please subscribe to their channel if you're over here listening on this channel. They got some really good stuff going on. And then I want to bring up one more of our folks in our network. It is Sean Mills. He is doing he's got his YouTube channel is Hack My Homestead. And if you're looking for solar power information, like general, like homesteading, living off grid, maybe some tips for how to do that kind of stuff, go check out Sean's channel at Hack My Homestead. And he's got some really great stuff going on over here. He's recently done some live streams talking about what he's got going on. He's got some little solar kind of tutorials, and talking about how you can think about setting up your own solar power type system. He recently did a Kickstarter to talk about like how you can pump water if you're trying to pump water when you're going off grid. And he did a Kickstarter where he's did a comparison of a lot of these different like solar water pumps off grid, and figuring out how these different pumps are performing and all that kind of stuff. So please, go check out his channel as well. He's got some cool stuff going on, and he's just getting this thing cranked up. And I believe he currently left like his main gig, and now he's doing the Hack My Homestead and the solar consultation, stuff like that. That's his full-time deal now. So go check him out, give him support him. If you have any questions about solar and things like that, like he's a really knowledgeable person to go to. And like I said, he does consultations on that. And then, seek out people that might be in your local area that might be able to help you with that kind of stuff. But he's definitely one of those resources that you can reach out to figure out, what your solar goals are, and what you should consider when you wanted to install a system. And so yeah, I wanted to give everybody there a shout out. I've also started working with another friend of mine in the city. I have that I met while I was out there. While I'm out there at the makerspace, and what we've been working on is taking his urban plot of land and transforming it into a like a more of a food forest, so that there would be some food security in his little plot of land there in the city. So, well, I think it's best to get yourself outside of the city if you can. That if you find yourself in an urban or suburban area, which probably a lot of people are, you know, this whole this whole agenda, the way that things are rolling out in the world, that I think you gotta um, you gotta grow where you're planted and do your best wherever you are in the world. So, if everybody ripped up their lawns and started planting food instead of having these pretty much useless lawns that you just gotta put all this water into and get nothing productive out other than something nice to walk on, I guess, and let your neighbors know that you're trying to have a nice lawn. Like I think the whole concept of the lawn came from like the royalty in the British royalty. Was like they were so wealthy that they didn't have to focus on having a garden, sustainable way, or some way of keeping themselves alive. They could have these lawns, and so I guess it was a sign of kind of the affluence. But like, if you've gone to the grocery store recently or tried to pay for some gas, or just try to get along in the world that we're living in right now, that you've noticed that, well, it's a little bit more difficult for me to pay for all this stuff that I need. So some of the first things that you can do and take into your hands, one of the very first things you could do is see if you could get some better food security for yourself and your family, and figure out whatever ways and means necessary to do that. And so I think one of the first key steps to that is ripping up your lawn and planting a garden of some kind, and focusing on things like perennials. So you could have like in the South, what does pretty good is okra. I grew okra and tomatoes very easily in the city. If you have a fence line, I was watching some permaculture YouTube from this guy in Canada, and he was talking about basically his whole entire fence line of a chain link fence is all covered in grapes, and they're pretty low maintenance kind of plant. Once you get them established, they're and keep them separated along like the uprights of your fence, and just like use that as your spacing for your chain link fence. Then you can have like kind of a privacy with your chain link, and then you can also be growing something, a food source, a way of making like either vinegar or like a wine with it. And that's like a sugar source for you. So it could be a lot of uses for those grapes if you get something like that started along your fence lines. I would say like in our region in the South, in like the northern Alabama region, I think we're like zone 7B, something like that, is to do fig trees. They do very, very well here. Peach trees do very well. We've got some plum trees that have done really well. Uh, the thing that hasn't done very well for us is apple trees. The apple trees seem to struggle, and if you have any cedar trees around you, that growing the apple trees is pretty difficult to do because they get affected by this blight that comes from a fungus from the apple trees, so they're not so great on growing. But the important thing to remember if you're planting any of the fruit trees and perennial type food is that you need like two different varieties of the tree of that produce the same thing. So like if you have a plum tree, you'd really want like two different varieties of that plum tree to plant, and in order for the pollination to occur and for you to get fruit. So that's an important thing to realize when you're talking about fruit trees. And one of the things that I've been studying recently is how to effectively clone and propagate these fruit trees. And I think probably one of the best methods for doing that is called air layering. And basically, all it is like you cut away some of the bark from the limb of the tree, and then you surround that with like some potting soil, and then you tape it up, and you put that potting soil in like a Ziploc bag or something. You cut a slit into it, and then you wrap it around the limb of the tree, and then it'll create roots in that potting soil, and then you can cut it off, and then you get a clone of the tree, and it looks like that's way more beneficial than if you have some already established fruit trees that you can clone that tree and start producing fruit pretty quickly. So if you already have some fruit trees planted on your property, if you want to propagate them, look into air layering. It might be a very good solution for you to keep spreading those trees around. So those are a few, and then I just picked up. I got this avocado tree that's sitting here. This was a gift from a friend that they planted from a seed. So I'm trying to grow some tropical stuff. I also got some moringa trees recently from one of the folks in our group, and those are supposedly, from what I've heard about them, they've been called the miracle tree because they have a lot of different uses. Like I think they could be used as kind of a fodder for animals because I think they have a really high protein content. I think they're very high in vitamin C. You can make a tea out of their leaves, and they're, like I said, high in that vitamin C. So they're a very helpful plant, but they're somewhat tropical of a tree, of a perennial. So I've got like 5 of them right now that I plan on actually growing back here on this sun porch area, and keeping them alive through the winter time, and putting them into a greenhouse eventually. So we got some other community efforts going on. Let me see if I wanted to cover a little bit on radio communications. Like, what do you do in the event? Like, we're talking about the Maui fire situation. So we got 2 different types of radio communications that I think would be very helpful in a situation like that. I think for like a small community, that to get yourselves a handheld amateur radio that can, I guess it's in the was it the 5 meter band for amateur radio. A good one that I'm using is the Yaesu FT65, and I don't have one of those ready for me, but I can pull one up on the internet real quick here and show you guys. So yeah, the Yaesu FT65 is a pretty good one. I've been able to talk to my buddy using the repeater networks, which helps bounce your signal further. Um, Using these one of these little handheld radios, I was able to communicate with a buddy of mine that was pretty far away, and if we're talking about like line of sight, maybe if you're on a flat area, if you're in a flat area and there's not a whole lot of obstructions, you're not going through valleys or anything like that. These little 5-watt radios have a pretty decent range for them. I think we were testing this out. I mean, you might get like I don't know, maybe 5-6 miles without obstructions, something like that, out of a 5-watt little handheld like this. And they make like different antennas for these too, so you can kind of like boost. I can get a little bit better of a boost on your the way you receive the signals. And then alternatively to something like the handheld, I guess they call them handy talk in the amateur radio realm. Other than those, we're also looking into creating local area mesh networks. So there's a product called Mesh-tastic, and they make a little piece of hardware that you can buy that basically helps you set up a mesh network between. It's like, I believe it's using kind of like a radio. It's using radio signals, but say the cell networks or something go down. If you have a bunch of these little devices set up around your little neighborhood, that you can still be able to get out you can be able to send out messages through your cell phone, text messages to other folks that might be in your community. And the downside to this is that you're not going to be able to have a huge range, but if you have a bunch of these nodes in your community, that you would be able to at least send text messages back and forth between each other with something like this. So this is something that we're working on in our local community right now. I've got a couple of the devices that we're going to set up and test out and test some capabilities on that. But those are two things that I think that y'all should be aware of before I end the show here tonight. I'm just going to do an hour on the live stream tonight, but that's some stuff that I think I wanted to share with everybody this evening on, some stuff that you can do to kind of make yourself a little bit more resilient going into the future here. And I want to shout out again my buddies that I've got their own channels going on. Hack My Homestead, Sean Mills at Hack My Homestead. Go check out his channel. Subscribe to this channel. Go check out TradFi to DeFi. Please go check out their channel and subscribe to them over there. And then Hideaway Homestead, please go over to his channel and subscribe to his channel. He's up at 106 subscribers right now on his. So yeah, definitely go check them out. TradFi to DeFi, they're over at like 125 over on their channel right now. So go add some more subs over there. And then Hack My Homestead, he's at 213. So go over there and go give him a subscribe. And all these guys are doing great stuff and really trying to help other people, gain some knowledge so that we can build the systems that make the current one obsolete, and build a better future for everybody. So appreciate everybody for coming to hang out tonight. Thank you guys. If you like what you saw tonight, you like what I've talked about, I try to do a weekly live stream. I attempt to do a weekly live stream every week around 7 p.m. on Tuesday nights. That is 7 p.m. Central Time, and bring on guests from time to time when I can make it happen. And come over and subscribe to the channel, The Tinker Tribe, and I'll keep bringing you more white pills and solutions, the stuff that I'm working on, and the stuff that we're doing in our community. So don't get discouraged out there. You know, keep plugging away, wherever you are in the world, and that's God wins in the end. I'll say that. Let's stay positive. Let's keep moving forward, and don't have don't get black pilled. Stay white pilled. There's a lot of great stuff going on in the world, and you have a lot of power to change not only your life but the other people around you. So, all right, guys, we'll love you guys, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.